Greetings, friends. You can't see it, but right now I am soaking my injured foot in a bucket of ice water. It feels good, but it's doing some kind of funky things to my leg. It's interesting, but I'm hoping it helps. But anyway, that's not what I'm making this video for. Today, what I wanted to make this video for was to discuss I think, therefore I am, the infamous saying by Rene Descartes, which is a very well-known saying, I think, still to this day. I mean, it's hard for me to follow the trends of what these shortened attention span youngsters are into these days, but I know when I was younger it was widespread. I think, therefore I am. And it's not necessarily a bad thing that it's misused, but I'm now second guessing my decision to wear this t-shirt. I feel like I am trying to look like a tough guy. Honestly, it was not originally my intention, but now upon reviewing it in the video, I may have to reappraise that. But I'm going to keep driving forward with this one. So I think, therefore I am. People often use it. People generally use it with the idea that the saying it's kind of like a amusingly pretentious way of saying that I'm smart, right? You know, people usually say it like in mockery of say a scientist or something, like I think, therefore I am. The thing is that gets it completely wrong. That's not what the purpose of that saying was at all, which isn't a big deal, except that the real meaning of the saying was really, really cool and really interesting. I think particularly in this day when simulation theory is gaining more and more adherents. So, all right. I think, therefore I am, where it actually came from was Rene Descartes, the philosopher and mathematician. His most lasting contribution, I think, is probably the Cartesian coordinate system in math. But he was one of those guys who did all kinds of stuff, just a true genius. One of his explorations was he was trying to figure out how he could actually know that he knows anything, right? That's generally the type of thing that only a genius would be preoccupied with, right? But yeah, so he wanted to know how you can know anything, which seems like an odd question, but what it basically boils down to, well, today we have the Matrix is probably the best way to frame it, but like in older times, the way it was framed was, if I was a brain in a jar receiving electrical impulses that were creating this hallucination of everything that we see around us, how would I know, right? Like if you were that brain and the hallucinations were sufficiently effective, then you wouldn't know. You could also, I think this was one that Descartes specifically used, but you could imagine, what if you were chained to the walls of hell and this reality was an illusion being created in your mind by the devil, right? Today, we have the Matrix would be where people would automatically leap to, right? What if you were Neo in this pod and this thing was feeding you hallucinations? How would you know, right? So how do we actually know what our reality is? How do we actually know what we're experiencing is real and not a hallucination? And those questions obviously take it to its fullest extent, but this holds true in an even lesser extent, in a more like practical daily manner. But anyway, let's just stick with the basics. So through his explorations, what Descartes came to the conclusion of was that the one basic foundational belief that you can rely on logically and rationally, empirically, is I think, therefore I am, by which he meant that the fact that he was thinking and was capable of thought meant that he existed in some way. Who knows what that way is? Maybe he was a man chained to a wall in hell. Maybe he was a brain in a jar. Maybe he was Neo in a pod. That comes as a secondary logical third, fourth. You build these logical steps to build a model of reality. But the foundational step that Descartes came to was I think, therefore I am. The fact that I am having these thoughts means that I do exist in some way. It's kind of interesting because it only really proves that you exist, right? And like I exist, you exist. Each person conducting this thought experiment, that conclusion only really means that you exist or that I exist or whoever is doing this exists. Really kind of a weird thought. But yeah, and there was obviously more to it because Descartes built upon these successive stages of logical deduction. Um, but yeah, it's really interesting, and I feel like it's even more relevant now today than ever, when more and more people are adhering or believing seriously, or at least entertaining the idea of simulation theory, that we're all living in a simulation. And if that was the case, how would we know? How would you know what you were experiencing was real in any way? And what would real even mean, right? But Descartes got that answer, man, coming from all the way back, all that time ago. I think, therefore I am. You're thinking, so you exist in some way. I might be an hallucination. I might be part of the simulation. I might be a. Let's face it. I probably am an illusion created by the devil, right? I mean, I think we all we. But yeah. So I am probably an illusion created by the devil, and I accept this reality, this fact. But beyond that, um, yeah, the fact that you're thinking, the fact that you are watching this and experiencing something means that you exist on some level. And that's the same for me when I conduct the thought experiment from my frame. But regardless, without going any more into this, that was Descartes' actual meaning with that saying. It's really fascinating. It's interesting stuff to chew on. Great brain candy. So, yeah, I don't know why I'm thinking about it this morning, but I am. So I decided to talk about it. So later, players. Peace out.